All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to this week's edition of Fights Unwrapped. Today, I have my co-host with me, Alec Carr. Dustin couldn't join us today. That's okay. We'll miss him, but we're thinking about him. That's for sure. And we have not too many headlines to talk about this week, but we do have an exciting International Fight Week card, which some of my friends are actually at right now. So jealous, by the way. They probably paid a fortune to see this fight card. But anyways, we're gonna start off as we always do with some of our promos, and we're gonna start with Alec doing some of our sponsorships. So we're gonna start with that right now.
All right, guys. I'm gonna continue to say this every week because I finally just got my new shipment in. If you're a little bit older and you're still trying to work out and recapture that youth like I do, you're going to want to check out rxhemp.com. The stuff is absolutely wonderful. It's like icy hot, but works. CBD creams, ointments, it's unreal what it does. So guys, make sure you check out rxhemp.com. and check out and use promo code RXHemp-USN to get 10% off your entire order. And I know for a fact, Monique, you've probably already placed your bets for this weekend. I keep forgetting it's Friday because of the holiday. But if you have not placed your bets because you're a crazy person, go ahead and check out mybookie.ag and use promo code USN100 to double up on your first deposit.
All right, thank you, Alikar. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, here are our handles. So, if you're not following Fights Unwrapped, which is at Twitter at FightsUSN, I don't know what you're doing. So you must give us a follow at Fights Unwrapped. That's how you keep up with me, Alec, Dustin, and all of our antics and our picks as well. So please follow that, and as well as on Instagram, it's Fights Unwrapped. And on YouTube, it's also Fights Unwrapped. And then Alec Carr, I believe yours is at Alec Carr MMA. Alec, if you wanted to say something, because I know you always like chirping.
Yeah, if you guys, I've actually slowed down a little bit, but I'm always down for a fight, down for a controversy. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I'm always down for a fight, down for a controversy, down for really anything. Just a conversation, a heated debate. It's not personal. It's all good fun. We all have our beliefs, and at the end of the day, that's how it is. But I love getting into it, guys. So make sure you follow me at Alicar MMA on Twitter, and make sure you comment or retweet or like or whatever you want to do. Just do it there because we'll get into it.
All right, you guys can follow me at Monique Yip as well as on Instagram at FemFatal88. All right, and then we are going to get started with our I think Alec's getting another phone call.
Yeah, well, give me one second.
No problem, Alec. It's all good, man. We have some headlines to talk about, not too many, but we're going to start off with the Jack Della Maddalena fight being canceled. It was very short notice. It was literally like an hour ago, so please bear with us. It literally just happened. Oh, Alec, I was just saying that one of our first headlines is the Jack Della Maddalena fight getting canceled. I like calling him JDM because it's just so much easier, guys, because his last name is just so long. But anyways, so that fight got canceled because his opponent, Harold, got a medical issue, some type of injury, some type of medical issue arising. So, that's exactly what happened. Alec, do you want to say anything about that? It's really quick. It's honestly just one of those cancellations that, it's just too bad it's happening right now.
It sucks that it happened because JDM is always a good watch. It's like that he wasn't supposed to fight on this card because this is the cancellation of a second fight for him on this card. So that just kind of sucks. He always puts on a good show and is an exciting prospect in the UFC. So, but I think Dana White's not going to let him go. He'll reschedule or get him on a card coming up in the next month or two.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's funny because I wouldn't have bet JDM to win only because, and a lot of people are like, why would you bet him to win? He's like the favorite. I'm like, because he's a huge favorite. He's like one of those favorites where it's like minus like 1,000 kind of like value. You know what I'm saying? So like, it wouldn't be worth it to bet him anyways. In my opinion, you might have parlayed him, and that's too bad that your parlay is probably gonna be scratched. So you're gonna have to parlay someone else in that situation. But anyways, that's the first headline we're gonna talk about really, really quick, guys. And then the other one that Alec brought up was Conor McGregor's coaching. So now, if anybody doesn't follow Tough, I've been following it just a little bit. I haven't been able to watch too many episodes, but Conor isn't doing too well in terms of his team. So Chandler's team is like winning pretty much all of the big fights that are happening, and that's gonna come into question Conor McGregor's coaching, you know, it's Tough and in general. So, Alex, since you brought this up, why don't you give the viewers some context about it, and then we can dive right into it.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of, clips and stuff floating around from Tough on Twitter and all the social medias about and Conor McGregor giving weird coaching advice. The one that stands out to me that was really weird is if you feel pain, you just take that pain and you pull it out and you throw it away, and then that pain's no longer there. It's like that's not how that works. It's just, and then the other one, he was giving some striking advice, which I actually thought was pretty good advice, to be fair. Yes. I think a lot of it has to do with the way Conor talks. It's hard to understand. He kind of comes across as an idiot sometimes, which we know better. Conor McGregor is not an idiot. He's close to a billionaire, and a self-made one at that. So it's just, I think this is all being overblown. If you thought Conor McGregor was, there's two things that I care about on this. If anyone, the first and the most important, if anyone thought Conor McGregor was going to come in and coach his team to an outstanding victory over Michael Chandler, you're out of your mind. I mean, Conor McGregor is a guy like, listen, he's not the UFC's Michael Jordan. I would probably say Anderson Silva or John Jones. It would be the considered Michael Jordan, but he has that mindset of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. If anybody steps my way, I don't care. I'm the greatest of all time. That's what he thinks. I'm not saying that. That's what he thinks. And usually guys like that make for really bad coaches because they don't care about the success of others. And that's a problem with, if you look at like just very successful people in general, a lot of times they don't give a shit about other people, and that's why they're so successful. So, I mean, there's that whole thing where the closest that the psychiatric testing of billionaire CEO is very similar to that of a serial killer. So, like, the Conor McGregor's not a serial killer. I'm not saying that. He might be a serial harasser, but that's a different topic. Different day. But he's got that mindset. He doesn't care about this. He doesn't give a shit. He's doing it as a favor to Dana so that Tough can get some more views. And listen, Tough's not doing well viewership wise, but it's doing way better than it has in the past 10 years. The viewership is way higher than it was. The streaming numbers are way higher than they are. So it's been a successful move for the UFC. The other part of this, Monique, is the fact that that UFC. Listen, you guys all know I support a lot of Dana's. While being a Dana White hater, I do support a lot of his business decisions.
Yeah,
he really missed him and Endeavor and the UFC really missed the boat on this. Prospects versus veterans on paper is a great idea. It is genius to do prospects versus veterans. The issue is the prospects are not actually prospects. If you look at the age when the fights are being announced, if you look at the age, sometimes, I think it happened once already, the prospect is older than the vet.
Yeah.
So these are just inexperienced fighters. And the reason that they did that, this is just me giving my input and trying to put myself in their shoes. They don't want to risk an actual really good prospect to get, because tough is a lot of training, it's a lot of work, it's more than your normal fight camp. You're training on short notice for your fight coming up.
Mhm.
So they don't want to put a real prospect through that. That's risking injury. It's risking. It's a risk in your asset of that prospect. Like there's no way Bo Nickel is gonna be a guy like Bo Nickel is gonna be in tough.
Yeah.
I think he should be. I think that's where they missed the boat. They could have had a really cool opportunity, giving some of these veterans another chance. A lot of these veterans are still in their 30s, so they still have a shot to make a run in the UFC to be successful.
Mhm.
So I think that would have been really cool to see that against true young guys like in their early to mid 20s going at each other. That because when you're a prospect that young, you're hungry, and when you're a veteran trying to get back into the UFC, you're hungry. So it would have been a great season. They really just missed the boat on this. These are vets versus vets. If we want to be honest, a lot of these guys who are again prospects actually have a pretty solid like long record in professional fighting. It's
Mhm.
not in the UFC, but they're all pro fighters already. They're not prospects. That's my only point. That's why I've been really upset by this tough season. And so Conor McGregor's coaching. Everyone calm down. Of course it sucks. He doesn't give a shit. He's got a million things to do. Like the guy's close to being a billionaire. He's running like 20 different companies. he's doing stuff outside of the UFC, whereas most of the time the tough coaches are not. Like Michael Chandler doesn't really have much going on outside the UFC.
Yeah.
Other than like what everybody else does, his family, his friends, and stuff like that. So it's just ridiculous to me, the critiquing of his coaching. It's just like, what did you guys expect? What did you expect Conor McGregor to do? What do you think about the whole thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, now that you mention it, it kind of all makes sense that they missed the boat on the fact that, like, they're supposed to be mostly, like, vets versus vets because, like you said, the age range kind of makes sense in that way. But, and, like, you're right. Like, Connor has, like, so many other important things to do than to just coach a bunch of, like, vets or prospects, like, properly. I mean, like, he has his head coaches for that, for a reason, right? So I mean, they're definitely doing their job during the show, and it's just like he's too busy of a guy, and like you said, he just did this for the reason, like you said, to make more viewership for Tough, for the UFC, for Dana, and it makes total sense. I'm on your side, Alikar.
Yeah, the other thing is too, like we're not being Conor apologists here. It's just a fact that he is the
Yeah,
busiest fighter. Like what people need to realize is Conor fighting, and I say this all the time. Conor fighting is insane. He doesn't. He makes hard comparatively to what he makes elsewhere, money wise, in his other businesses. This is like he makes considerably less money fighting than he
yeah,
does with his beer company, his whiskey company, his management company. Like this is fighting is the least amount of money he makes. He doesn't need to do it. So like, but he does need to make sure businesses are operating correctly, and he's the face of those businesses. I know he's not doing the fucking business plans and all that stuff. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong. He's not doing that, but he is the face of all those businesses. And being the face of a business like Conor is it's a lot of work. Like it's not something that's easy. I mean, there was that one time where he just wasn't. I think he either wasn't at the training session or wasn't available for the house visit or whatever. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, and he even said he was like, "I'm doing shit."
Yeah,
like even that trip to the Miami Heat game, that was him being the face of his other businesses.
yeah,
Now, sexual harassment, we've already talked about that. It's a little
yeah.
weird. Bunch of different stories flying around. The video's weird and all that other nonsense. We're not going to go into that right now. But him scheduling to punch the mascot in the face he made money off of that. Like,
Yeah,
like that's the only thing. It's just Conor McGregor, and we even talked about it on the show when it was announced.
yeah,
It's gonna be entertaining, but if you think it's gonna be a good coach, just don't watch. Don't waste your
yeah.
time.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, we are gonna move on to our last headline before we're gonna talk about this card. GSP is, in fact, kind of coming out of retirement to do a grappling match. It's the Fight Invitational by UFC Fight Pass number 6, and it's happening in December. And boy, do I know what kind of opponents he would like. He said he would like either Khabib, he would like Kamaru Usman, or he would like Anderson Silva. And even John Anik threw in a weird opponent for him, Sean O'Malley. So, Alec Carr, I know you mentioned this before, chat. You're not really super interested in this headline, but I am, because GSP. Come on, I'm Canadian, man. That's my boy. You know, I have to. When this was announced, I was just so excited because I've always just wanted him to come back and do something, right? So, Alec Carr, what do you think about this announcement, and who do you think his opponent might be during the Invitational this December?
Yeah. So I'm not excited in the sense that it's cool that he's coming out of retirement to do a grappling match. But also at the same time, it's not. We're not talking about prime GSP here. We're talking about
Yeah,
hasn't fought in forever. I know he's still training and stuff, so it's not like he's out of shape. But like, and he'll get back into shape. We're just talking about old over the hill GSP. I mean, we saw him against Michael Bisping. He did not look like the GSP we all know. He looked totally like he looked like he lost a few steps, not just one. It is exciting though, and it's such GSP fashion to be like, I want 3 of the best grapplers in the world for out of retirement. That's what's really cool about it. The Sugar Sean O'Malley, he's a striker. I don't care about his grappling,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like him versus Khabib would be cool because everybody really wanted GSP to come out of retirement to fight Khabib, and then him versus Usman is really entertaining. I mean, it's cool to see a guy like GSP just be like, I'm coming out of retirement for grappling and I want to fight people who are in their prime still.
Yeah,
Like it's just standard GSP, except for Anderson Silva, of course, which would also be cool because we never got to see the GSP Anderson Silva fight. I don't think it would be quite the same. I think he probably beat Anderson Silva in a grappling match, but it's definitely interesting. I think it's interesting because if he does Khabib, I think he probably loses. To be
yeah.
honest,
It's a good chance, man.
Usman, I don't know. He's got that knee issue.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even think Usman would be interested in doing a grappling match at this point, but it would still be cool to see Usman. You know, the two 170 goats going at each other in a grappling match. So, how do you feel about this? I know you're pumped because of the Canadian coming out of retirement.
yeah, that's for sure. I'm definitely pumped. I mean, like, he was my favorite for the longest time, growing up with MMA. Ever since I was 18, I was like, John Jones, GSP, those are my boys, ride or die with them kind of thing. But I think it's funny because he mentioned the 3 guys that the fans really want to see. It's just, I mean, like, I don't know what kind of move that was. I'm just saying, like, he's saying, like, Khabib, which everybody wanted him to face Khabib. He's saying Kamaru Usman, who was pretty much one of the best, if not one of the best welterweight, in the UFC. And then you have Anderson Silva, which was like the legendary matchup, and everybody wanted to see, and the UFC just never put it on. So it's just so funny that he kind of put on the 3 opponents that everybody wanted to see, him fight. So quite a good move. I think if UFC can land one of those opponents, that'd be amazing. If I were to pick one, I would pick Khabib because he was my other favorite for the longest time, and I know how great of a grappler he is. and he would give GSP some problems, like some real problems. Not saying Anderson Silva wouldn't, not saying Kamaru Usman wouldn't either, but like Khabib for sure is my number one pick. What about you, Alec Carr?
Yeah, that's the one I want to see the most.
Yeah.
Because I think he beats Anderson Silva honestly pretty easily at this point. Anderson Silva is like a boxer now, so like he's not even, and he's even said that he's not really even training grappling all that much. Though he did mention that he would come out of retirement for a fight in China recently. But that was for a MMA fight.
MMA fight, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if he would be really interested in that if that's what his plan is. And then Usman, fucking take the Hasmat fight. Don't take it.
Yeah, I know. Take the
Hasmat. like you were talking so much shit on Hasmat, and Hasmat was just like, word, 170 or 185. Let's do it. And then like you were like, never mind. I don't want to do that. like what happened to that fight, man? You wanted to do it at 170. Hasmat wanted to do it at 170. Dana said it would have to be at 185. Hasmat said he would do 185, and you went silent, Usman. So like, take the Hasmat fight. If he took this fight, I would be pissed at him. I'd be like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I think like it's funny because I think Usman kind of went silent because he knew maybe Hasmat is the bigger person. If I'm not mistaken, I think he is the bigger person. So I think that's the reason why if it went to 185, it'd be like so easy for him to kind of smash him, right? So that might be one of the reasons why. But anyways, so guys, we have International Fight Week card to freaking talk about. That's right, UFC 290. Like I said, I have a few friends that are there that are having the time of their lives in Vegas right now. They're so excited for the fights, and I am so excited. Now, Alec, I need you to talk about the fights for me because I don't have my laptop. However, I know you like doing those prelim shoutouts, and boy, do we have some prelim shoutouts to talk about. So why don't you go ahead and do that before we get into the fights?
All right, guys, this is one you got to tune in. And I'm talking to all the casuals out there. And it's okay. I know casual has a negative connotation, but it doesn't for me. If you're a casual fight fan, that's okay. But I need all of you casuals to put aside hours of your day and make sure you watch this card from early prelim up, because you might become a non-casual and become a full-time UFC fan if you do that. This card is insane from fight one. You got Esteban Robovic, I think I'm saying that right, the Argentinian against Kamala Kirk. That's a exciting fight for a young prospect. Jesus Aguilar versus Shannon Ross is not as exciting, but still exciting. Cameron Saman versus Terrence Mitchell. This is really exciting. Cameron Saman is another South African fighter. Really, really exciting. 8-0. Always fun to watch. Make sure you guys are tuning in. And then you got Vitor Petrino versus Marcin Fortunio. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry.
Like that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't really matter because Vitor Petrino is a goddamn monster. I mean, this is I don't know if you remember his Contender Series knockout and then his unanimous decision against Anton Turkagy. Guy's a monster. He's scary. He's gonna make a lot of waves in the light heavyweight division for sure. So make sure you guys pay attention to that one. Then you got oh man, you got Taira, who's an exciting prospect out of Japan fighting. Then you got Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield. That's your veteran fight of the prelims that no one cares about. Then you got Yasmin versus Denise Gomez, which is super
Ooh,
exciting. I know
super
you're pumped
exciting.
for that. That's a
Hey.
really, really fun one. Yasmin is an absolute incredible prospect, and Denise Gomez is also. So make sure you guys tune into that. Then, unfortunately, the JDM fight got canceled, like we
No.
covered, which really sucks. But then we have the Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price.
Mm.
And we got to pause here for a second because Robbie Lawler has announced he is retiring, and we got to give him credit where credit is due. Absolute great trailblazer of the sport, been around for forever, has had some of the, I think he has 3 fights in the UFC Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So he's put on absolute wars over and over and over again. That being said, Monique, I agree with DC. I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame as a fighter, but we're not going to get into that right now. But what are your thoughts on Robbie Lawler's career, and how do you feel about him retiring?
I mean, like you said, he is one of the greats, especially in his division, and obviously the one of the best fights was just him versus Roy McDonald. I mean, how can you forget about that fight, right? So that was probably my favorite memory of him, just going out there and brawling, and I'm gonna miss him. Obviously, it's weird not having Robbie Lawler on the main card, but it is what it is. It might get moved. You never know because the JDM fight got dismantled. But yeah, no, he wasn't necessarily one of my favorite fighters, but I definitely respected him and I respected his game a lot. And I wish him very well in his retirement. And even though I don't think he's gonna win this fight against Nico Price, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I honestly don't think he's gonna win this fight. But I hope, in a way, I hope he does because I want him to retire on top, right? So we'll see.
Yeah, I'd love to see him retire in a win. I think it's about time he retired. I mean, he technically had a retirement fight already against ATS. I this is it though for him. I think Dana White was like, man, we'll give you one more fight. You got to call it quits though. Like this is it. So Robbie Lawler, thank you for all your incredible, incredible fights and memories. And I look forward to watching your last one, and I will be cheering my ass off for you, hoping that you go out on a victory. But with that being said, Monique, we got the main card.
So excited right now.
And to start off the main card, it sucks that Trayshawn Gore got hurt. It does suck.
Mm.
To start off the main card, we have my guy, Bo Nickel versus versus Val Woodburn. I'm going to toss it over to you. How quickly do you think Bo Nickel wins?
First round, baby. First round, just like he did in his last opponent. Oh my God. It's like, no offense to Val. I know he is a great prospect. It's just that Bo Nickel is Bo Nickel. I mean, like, everybody knows he's like an elite wrestler. His grappling game is on fire. Like, sure, maybe his last few matches, some people might argue that his grappling wasn't the most technical, but it did the job anyways. And I think I would love to see a submission, but I'm seeing more like a KO TKO situation. That's what my head is brewing. What about you, Alikar?
I think he needs to go in there and get the submission as quick as he can. Just prove a point to everybody. I mean, Pickett fight, which was insane to me. I understand the knee to the nether region. And people are saying he never gets that takedown on Jamie Pickett if he doesn't land that knee. Guys, Jamie Pickett was sitting there with no hooks in. Like that takedown was all but sealed. I just watched that fight again. Jamie Pickett had no hooks in. Bo Nickel thought he was a little higher up on the body than he was and threw a knee. It wasn't intentional. Jamie Pickett has reversed his opinion and has said he doesn't think it was intentional after watching the fight. Yeah. Bo Nickel's a beast. He's one of the most accomplished prospects in UFC history. I want him to come in and get I don't care how he wins, but it would be awesome to come in and seal that submission within the first 2 minutes of the first round. And I do see that happening. Val Woodburn, it's a little big lights for him, real big lights. He's a good fighter. This is not a walkover fight like people are saying. I know Bo Nickel is like minus 1,200 or something.
Yeah,
but this is not a walkover fight. Val Woodburn is a stud. If he catches Bo Nickel is in trouble. Val Woodburn's got power for days. But I think Bo Nickel gets this done quickly. All right, we're moving on. Next up, we got Dan Hooker versus overweight, skinny, terrifying-looking Jalen Turner. And I think we got to take a second, Monique, and talk about Jalen Turner's weigh-in. He missed weight, everybody. He was not allowed. Doctors prevented him from taking a second chance because he looked like he was sick, to be quite honest. Monique, what do you think about Jalen Turner, his weight cut, him missing weight? He's 6'3" in the lightweight division, which is insane. And what do you think is going to happen in the fight too?
Yeah, I mean, like you said in our chats, man's gotta go up in weight class. It's like you said, 6'3" in the lightweight division. Are you kidding me right now? That is ridiculous. I mean, Dan Hooker is not like the shortest motherfucker either. Okay, but it's just that's crazy. Of course, it was just inevitable he wasn't gonna make weight. Was I surprised? Hell no, I wasn't surprised that he wasn't gonna make weight. Before the weigh-ins, I still had Dan Hooker winning. I just think he's like Jalen Turner for me isn't like his fight IQ isn't the best, and I've seen that in his other fights before, and he's very much disappointed me a few times. So I have Dan Hooker winning. I don't think this is gonna go to like a finish or anything like that. I think it's gonna go to decision personally. Even though Jalen Turner has a lot of power, and if he catches Dan Hooker, it's gonna be a troubling situation for Dan Hooker. But I just don't think that Dan Hooker is gonna allow that to happen. What do you think, Alec Carr? I mean, like I said, I'm not surprised that he missed weight at all.
Yeah, neither am I. The last time we talked about Jalen Turner was when he was going up against Gamrot. Leading into that, and we even brought it up then. He's way too big. I mean, he could fight at 185 at 6'3", like this, and still be tall. like it's just insane that he cuts that much weight. It's dangerous. He should move it up to at least 170. And I agree with you. Jalen Turner's fight IQ is not the highest, and the Gamrot fight was close, but ultimately disappointing, as we were led to believe that Jalen Turner was going to come in and shock this division with his size and his power and his speed. I'm torn on this fight because how much I love Dan Hooker, but he hasn't shown us much lately. I mean, his last win against Claudio Puelles is not that exciting. He got destroyed against Arnold Allen.
Yeah.
And I know these are all some of the best fighters in the world that he lost against. But when you're on this kind of skid where, yes, you won one fight, but even that one fight you won isn't against a good name, it's like it's hard to go into the lights start getting a little bit bigger. And we see this over and over again where guys who are supposed to be one of the next guys up just shrink. They lose one fight or they lose a couple of fights to some of the best talent in the world. And then all of a sudden they get in their head and they can't get out of it. And part of me thinks Dan Hooker's there. I do. I really do think Dan Hooker's. I hope he's not. I want to say that. I hope he's not, because he's an exciting fighter and it'd be awesome to see him get back into the top 5. But I think that's where he is. Just watching him leading into the fight, he dyed his hair blonde. He's
I
doing
know. Okay,
like
can we talk about that? Like, what the hell? He looks so pale. He looks even more pale with his hair like white blonde. I was like, what the hell's going on right now?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to do Bronx style. I don't know. And the way he's been talking, it's not just that he dyed his hair blonde. Ultimately, that doesn't mean anything. But
It's
like
just, yeah.
he dyed his hair blonde, and the way he's been talking, and the things he's been talking about, they claiming that Islam cheated, leading into his fight against Volkanovski,
He
and
just
he won't
backing
let
up
it
his
go.
guys. Yeah.
Even Volkanovski said, "Nah, he didn't. He didn't
Yeah.
cheat." like, dude, let it go. You didn't even fight him. like, I know you fought him before, but you didn't even fight him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this. I think Jalen Turner wins, and I think he wins pretty easily by decision. It's gonna
Well,
break my soul a little bit,
yeah.
but I think he wins because I think Dan Hooker's just too much in his head.
I mean, at least Dan Hooker got some of the purse. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's the other thing too, like when you go into that octagon and you're already in your head about everything you're doing and thinking about, like this is a big fight for Dan Hooker. This is a name that if he wins, he'll start fighting against guys close to the top 5 again. So like he needs this victory, and that starts making you. It can make guys start to overthink, and it seems like Dan Hooker's there. And when you're thinking like that and you're in the octagon, you might as well not even go. Like when your headspace is not that clear and you're thinking about the next fight already, or you're thinking about the past fights, you might as well not go. Seriously, like, and I hope he's not. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong about Dan Hooker, but everything in my heart is telling me he's not the same guy anymore. So I do think he loses his fight.
Mm.
All right, we're moving on to probably the best fight of the evening.
Hey.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It could be Moreno versus Pantoja. I don't know. But we got Robert Whittaker, the Reaper, is back against Drixus du Plessis.
I can never say his name. I don't know how the hell you say it. Like,
and I'm gonna go first on this one, Monique, because I got beef. I got beef with people saying Drixus, he gasses out too soon. Drixus, he's not technically good. Like he's not great at anything. He's good at everything. Like but he doesn't do anything technical. They point out clips of him trying to like his attempted takedown in his last fight that ended up with him on bottom. Guys, it's been confirmed by multiple sources that he had a deviated septum that was creating serious breathing issues for him. It's been fixed for months now. So all those cardio issues could be gone. Mm-hmm. And if those cardio issues are gone, even Robert Whittaker said this is going to be a hell of a fight. Like he has said it multiple times. Like everyone's discounting this man. He's a great fighter, and he just had surgery to fix his biggest glaring problem in his game. Like this is not going to be a walkover fight for Whittaker. I don't think it will be. I think it will be a really good fight. I think Drixus puts on a good show, and he takes damage. He does. Like, and Robert Whittaker's he's probably not gonna go for the knockout. But I have Robert Whittaker winning in a decision, but I do have this being very close with Drixus maybe stealing a round or two. I don't have this being a total blowout. I don't have it like other people are saying. I think Drixus puts on a good show, and he might steal 2 rounds from him. That being said, though, the surgery doesn't just fix the cardio. He's got to do the cardio work now. So if he didn't do the cardio work, this could be a real quick fight. So it really depends on what happens, but I do think he did the work. He's really motivated to get that championship fight. So this fight will tell us a lot about Drixus as a person, not just a fighter. So I'm excited for this. But I do have Robert Whittaker winning because I always have Robert Whitaker winning against anyone not named Adesanya. Monique, what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, everything that you said, I'm on board with. Like, DPP, as like, because I can't say his name for the life of me, is going to give Robert Whitaker a hell of a fight. I'm excited about this fight. I'm intrigued. Like, I don't really know what's gonna happen. I have a feeling it's gonna go to decision. Might even go to split decision for people out there. Just might actually do that. So, I just think that DBP has that power, advantage. Obviously, like if he puts one to Rob Whitaker, he's probably gonna not get knocked out, but he's probably gonna wake up a little bit, or the other way around. So I definitely have Robert Whitaker winning by decision. I think he's the smarter fighter. I also think he is the better overall fighter, and I really want him to get back on top. I miss him being champion, Alikar. I really do. I know it's probably, no offense, not gonna happen, but I miss him being champion though.
Do you think he gets a championship fight if he wins?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, it makes sense. And I get it. Like, some people will be like, oh, here we go again. Izzy versus Robert Whitaker for, like, the nth time or whatever. But, I mean, like, he's being DVP, and that makes sense, like, when it comes to the rankings and stuff like that. Like, I would give him the fight, for sure. What about you? What do you think?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Because he definitely deserves it. I'm not going there. He definitely deserves it after this, but I don't know if it makes the best sense business wise.
Yeah, of course.
The rumblings. There's been a lot of rumblings of not a lot of rumblings. There's been a lot of chatter around from people who know things, saying that the reason Hazmat hasn't scheduled a fight is because he's fighting Izzy in at the end of this year. I don't know if that's true, but that if that's a real option, that definitely Whitaker's got to wait until after that fight, because that's the Hazmat doesn't necessarily deserve a championship fight in that division yet, but that's the ticket. That's a million PPVs right there. Like, they have to do that if that's a real option. So
yeah,
I hope he does. I rewatched his fight against Izzy, his last fight against Izzy. And I've been on the bandwagon of, I think Whitaker won that fight, but rewatching it this time, I can see why he got a lot of takedowns in that fight, but he didn't hold them.
Yeah.
Like, he secured a couple, like one or two of them, but he didn't really, they weren't actual takedowns. It was takedown right back up, takedown right back up.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm getting sidetracked. We all hope that Whitaker wins. He's the best, I think, the smartest fighter in the UFC right now.
Yeah.
Just period. So, and he's the Mr. Nice Guy. So we all hope he wins. All right, we're moving on. It's weird not seeing Whitaker headline a fight card, by the way,
know, right?
or not even be a co-main. Like, it's a little strange. But next up, we got Brandon Moreno versus Alexander Pantoja. I have weird thoughts on this fight, but I'm gonna
weird thoughts on it too.
So I'm gonna throw it over to you first.
Okay.
Let's break this down. What do you think about this fight?
Okay, I gotta mention something really, really important to everybody. Alexander Pantoja is an underdog in this fight. Why the fuck is he an underdog, Alikar? He is 2-0 against this man. 2-0, and he's the underdog going into this fight. Tell me how that fucking makes sense. First of all, sorry, excuse my French, everybody. I just don't understand this. This makes me, like, super red in the face, because, like, Vegas is like making me want to bet Alexander Pantoja, and the reason why I think he's gonna win is because he's the one that has Brandon Moreno's number. That's how I feel about this fight. I get it. It's a long time ago, couple years ago. They fought 2 times. Alexander Pantoja won, but I feel like there's a reason why Alexander Pantoja won. I think honestly, he might be the smarter fighter. He might overall be the better fighter. And I honestly probably am going to make a bet on Alexander Pantoja to win that fight and to steal the belt from Brandon Moreno, because I don't understand Vegas right now. I really just don't understand it. Alucard, I'm so sorry. I'm like really heated right now. Like, you just don't understand like how I thought about this and how this doesn't make sense for me. Like, in terms of betting wise, like, this man should not be the underdog. This man should be the favorite going into this fight. Anyways, go ahead and see your thoughts.
No, I totally agree with you. I'm right there with you. I'm not a betting man, but I understand betting, and since Pantoja is the underdog, I would say everyone bet for him. Like, he does have Brandon Moreno's number. The weird thing is, it's like this division is very good, right? We have Figgy technically still in division, Pantoja, Albatesi, Brandon Moreno, Kai Kara France, Mateus Nicolo, Alex Perez, Matt Schnell, Manuel Kopp, Muhammad Makayev. Like, I'm having trouble getting excited for this fight, which is weird for me because I love watching the little guys go at it because I'm a little guy, and I think it's very exciting. And I have a feeling that if Pantoja wins, there's gonna be an immediate rematch, which there shouldn't. Yeah. If Pantoja wins, Brandon Royval's next up. Give him the fight. Like,
Alucard, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but Brandon Royval is the backup for this fight if it doesn't happen. Anyways, keep going.
But it's just like I love Brandon Moreno. He's exciting to watch. He's got, even though he doesn't have the nickname, he's the one in the UFC that actually has a heart of a lion, not Anthony Smith. He's never gives up, never goes down. I don't know. In my head, maybe this is why. In my head, Figgy's still champ.
Okay.
In my head. I know he's not. I know he lost. I know that happened, but in my head, for some reason, Figgy's still champ. And I know a lot of people didn't want the another Figgy versus Brandon Moreno, but that would have done more for me. I know Figgy was tired of cutting weight, and then he wanted to go up, but he wants to go down, but then he wants to go back up. No one knows what's going on with Figgy right now.
I know what's going on. There's rumor fights that he's going to face Dominic Cruz at the end of the year.
Yeah, that was just announced, yesterday? Yes. The rumors were announced, not an actual fight. But we'll see if that actually happens. I think Figgy's just done. I think he wants to retire, and he's just not ready to admit it yet. Yeah. In my head, I'm on to the next fight. Because our guy, Brandon Royval, which, if you're listening, Brandon, we need to get you on the show. We love you. We're big fans. We'd have a lot of fun together. But that's the fight that matters for me. I think Pantoja wins this, and if they give Moreno a rematch, I'll be so angry. This is a guy that's been fighting the same guy for 3 years now, 2 years. Like, I get it. Figgy's a beast, and you went back and forth, and I just said I'd like another fight. But I would want another fight so that Figgy could get his belt back, and not so Brandon Moreno could win. He's not an exciting champion, Brandon Moreno, as much as I love him and I love his fight style, and I said all those nice things about him. I think Pantoja wins, and I think I hope to God that Brandon Royval gets his shot because he deserves it. The kid just keeps getting better. He impresses me every time he fights. So Anyway, do you have any more thoughts about this fight?
Nah, I'm cooled down now. After I let you
Uh,
talk, I was just so elated that I just can't believe the betting numbers are like this. Like everybody should just run to the bookies and bet on Pantoja. That's what I have to say about that.
all right, so I got to do something real quick before we get to the main event because
No.
I'm gonna throw something up.
I wonder what this is, like a surprise or something.
So, we got our main event of the evening. I could do my Bruce Buffer impression. I've been doing it more at shows. We have our main event of the evening. Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Monique, I got problems.
Oh no! I thought you were.
I got problems. Guys, I'm addressing MMA Twitter right now. It's not really necessary about this fight. For those who think Yair Rodriguez is going to walk into this octagon and beat the greatest featherweight we have ever seen, you're out of your damn mind. You're out of your mind. Yair Rodriguez is a good fighter. He is. He's a really good fighter. But first of all, he doesn't even deserve to be in this octagon. It should have been the winner of Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway. Should have been the interim fight. First and second of all, there shouldn't have even been an interim fight. Why the fuck was there an interim fight? We already knew that he was coming back down to the division. We already knew that was going to happen. So the interim fight was stupid. He is the biggest waste of a belt ever. Yair Rodriguez. I'm throwing that out there. I'm not calling him a paper champ because it's interim. I've been seeing a lot of people saying the interim belt should be silver. I absolutely 110% agree with that. It should be a silver belt because it is different. Yair Rodriguez, like I said, is a good fighter. His kicks are absolutely incredible. And a lot of people, I got in a huge beef with somebody on Twitter about Yair Rodriguez is so good he turned Max Holloway into a wrestler. And I was like, listen, all right. And then everybody started backing him because MMA Twitter is fucking insane. But I was like, listen, dude, first of all, he didn't turn Max Holloway into a wrestler. That's not what happened. If you rewatch the fight, Max Holloway was landing at a high clip. But Max Holloway is an incredibly smart fighter and realized that he could take him down with his limited wrestling skills. He could take him down and win from the top, which he did. Max Holloway looked like fucking old school Dan Henderson or pick out somebody that has incredible ground and pound. He turned that into an old school fight where he did take him down, but he wasn't just laying on top of him. That's not true. He was throwing and landing from the top position at a high clip. He made Yair Rodriguez look like a fucking moron, and I am not excusing my language. I mean that. He made him look like a stupid fighter. And that's what Yair Rodriguez is. He's got all the talent in the world to be a champ, but he's not smart. He does not work on his wrestling. He is a guy with really strong kicks and strong punches. That's what he is. And he's a good fighter. He's a really good fighter. He deserves to be in the top 5. I'm not saying he's one of the most overrated fighters of all time. I would not approach that with him because he does not belong in the rankings of Brock Lesnar, who is literally the most overrated fighter of all time. Yair Rodriguez is good. But Alexander Volkanovski, we're talking about the guy who dismantled Max Holloway 2 times in a row. We're talking about the guy that went up in weight class and put on a show against Islam Makhachev. We're talking about a guy who is right up there with Robert Whittaker in fight IQ. One of the smartest fighters I have ever seen in the octagon. We're talking about a guy that can stand up, take shots from Max Holloway, and outstrike Max Holloway. We're talking about that Alexander Volkanovski. We're talking about an Alexander Volkanovski, a guy who can take you down and grind you out on the ground as well. That Alexander Volkanovski is one of the greatest. If he wins this fight, there's gonna be talks about him being the GOAT. There is. It's already starting to happen. I don't agree with it, but it's already starting to happen. If he wins this fight, he is in the GOAT conversation. And I shouldn't say if, when he wins this fight. And here's my other thing, and I'll stop ranting after this. If it's true that what people think, that Yair Rodriguez is so good at striking, he turned Max Holloway into a wrestler, what the fuck do you think Volkanovski's going to do against him?
Exactly.
Like, and the some of the comments and stuff that you read is like, Yair Rodriguez can learn wrestling in a couple of months. That is batshit insane. It takes years to learn wrestling. This is not striking is the easiest part of the game to learn. It's the easiest part of the game to learn. The hardest part is grappling. It just is. Talk to wrestlers. Talk to Sambo. Talk to BJJ. It is so much more technical and difficult to be a good grappler than a good striker. It just is. I don't care. And I'm a big fan of striking. I did kickboxing. I did Muay Thai. I've done striking disciplines. But it is, and the reason I did them was because I didn't have the time or the discipline to go learn grappling. I just did it. I did it. So that's so I chose the easier route. It's just absolutely insane to me that people actually think Yair Rodriguez is going to walk into the octagon and knock out Alexander Volkanovski. It doesn't make any sense. I got Volkanovski winning this fight. It goes to decision, and I don't think Yair wins a single round. That's what I see happening. I don't think he wins a single round. I don't know anywhere where Rodriguez is smarter. I don't know anywhere he is actually better. He may be a better technical striker than Volkanovski, maybe. And the absolute last thing I'll say, did we all just forget that Yair Rodriguez is a doper? Did everyone just forget that Yair Rodriguez got suspended for a year for using performance-enhancing drugs? Like, where is this fandom coming from? This guy is a scumbag and a cheater. He's right up there with TJ Dillashaw. He had no cardio during the beginning of his career. All of a sudden, he's one of the best. He can last all 5 rounds, no problem. And they drug test him and find out that he's doping. And no one cared. Why does no one care? He's a cheater. The guy is a cheater. And we need to call him out on it. And this is the most ridiculous support for a fighter I've ever seen. I mean, really, like, Makayev has his diehard fans who are super annoying, but he's a really good fighter. He's a champion. You have all these guys that have these diehard fans that are super annoying. TJ Dillashaw lost all of his fans when he cheated. He got kicked out of the fucking gym. Yair Rodriguez has no disciplinary issues. And yeah, he got suspended for a year, but like, no one. It's just weird to me that no one cares that this guy actively cheated, got caught, and now is back and is an okay fighter. And now everyone thinks he's going to go in there and destroy Volkanovski. It's just stupid. Volkanovski wins. He wins a blowout victory. I think we see 1-10-8 round.
Yeah. I gotta answer some of your questions, Alikar. So that's overwhelming support of fans. I don't know if you know what their background is, but they could be Mexican. I'm just saying. It's huge right now. Like, the UFC blowing up because they have 3 Mexican champions, right? I say champions because of Yair Rodriguez. I think that might be one of the reasons why there's this overwhelming support, because they, people are excited about the whole Mexican.
Can I interject there?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I get that point, and I validate that point. But at the same time, I know a lot of Mexican fight fans. The reason I love like talking fights with them is because they're all the most realistic fight fans in the world. Like, yeah, they're loyal and they'll back their guy, but they'll also be the one to tell you that Volkanovski's winning this fight. I love Yair Rodriguez and I'm gonna root for him, but he's not the better fighter. That's just been my experience. I don't know about anybody else, but I get it. I don't know if that's what's happening. That's all I'll say. But keep going.
No, it's okay. And then in terms of, it's funny because me and my boyfriend were talking about this fight. He really likes Yair Rodriguez. He was very impressed with his last fight, and I'm just like, I understand that. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. He's a great fighter. It's just that Volkanovski is just overall the better fighter and overall the smarter fighter, and I think we can all agree on that. I think it's funny because he's just like, I was so impressed. Like, Yair was so like unorthodox and stuff like that, but so is Volkanovski. So is Volkanovski, so is Max Holloway. So, like, you know, think about that. And Volkanovski beat Max Holloway, like, a couple times, right? And so, you know, it's just one of those things. I don't see this being the most exciting fight. I don't even know if I'm going to be awake for this fight, Alucard, to be honest with you, because I am just not intrigued by it whatsoever, because I think Volkanovski's going to win hands down. He's gonna win. I like Yair Rodriguez in terms of his fight style, but I just don't think it's just gonna measure up to someone who is as smart, as intelligent, as like what's called, just really overall such a well-rounded fighter as Volkanovski is. That's all I gotta say. It's very simple. Yeah. Okay, very simple, guys.
And my last comments before we go, because we do gotta get out of here. My last comments are: who has Yair beaten? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
What, like Korean Zombie? Like, that's pretty much it, right?
Josh Emmett, who everybody knows how I feel about Josh Emmett. I don't think he's winning another fight for a long time. Brian Ortega, who got stopped for that shoulder injury, lost to Max Holloway, beat Jeremy Stevens, cool, and then Korean Zombie, and also beat an old fucking BJ Penn. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? Arnold Allen should be in this fight. I'm pissed that he lost to Max Holloway because Arnold Allen is an interesting fight against Volkanovski because of the pressure that Arnold Allen brings would be very difficult for Volkanovski to handle with his fight style. But anyway, we got to wrap it up. That's the end of our show. Thank you guys for all listening. Let me pull up what we got next. I think are we taking a week off? Is UFC taking a week off?
If they're taking a week off, we can do our interview next week. So we'll see if DeAndre's available.
Oh, they are not. July 15th is next. Well, they might as well be taking a week off. It's the Holly Holm Silva card. But we will be back next week. Yeah, we'll be back next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Happy fight week.
Happy fight week, guys. Bye.